I came home for Christmas grieving my wife, then overheard my parents treat my settlement like their holiday fund. Hi, I'm Lucas, I'm 34, and last December I found out my family didn't see me as a son or a brother anymore. They saw me as a wallet with legs. A week before Christmas, I was lying on the floor of my childhood bedroom, staring at a crack in the ceiling I remembered from when I was 16, when I heard my name drifting up through the heating vent. The vent acted like a confession booth. Every word from the kitchen downstairs came through clear as day. Lucas won't even notice if we move $40,000, my sister Brianna said, laughing softly. That same laugh she used when she was about to justify something awful. I froze. My parents and my sister were gathered around the kitchen table, mugs clinking, chairs scraping. Planning. Calm. Comfortable. He's got plenty, my mom replied without hesitation. The settlement from the accident, the inheritance from Uncle Ray, his consulting income, he's doing better than any of us. The accident. That's what they called it. The crash 3 years earlier that killed my wife, Emily. The word landed like ice in my chest. My dad cleared his throat. If he's talking about buying another investment condo, he can help his family. Blood comes first. Brianna jumped back in. Exactly. Greg and I are drowning after the house remodel. And Mom and Dad are 3 months behind on the mortgage. We'll use part of it for Christmas too. The hotel ballroom is already booked. How much total? My dad asked. About $60,000. Brianna said casually. We'll say it's his contribution. He doesn't have kids anyway. That last sentence knocked the air out of me. They knew Emily and I had been trying. They knew about the doctor appointments, the plans we never got to finish. Brianna had held my hand at the funeral. Now she was pricing my loss like an itemized expense. No one suggested asking me. No one hesitated. They talked logistics instead, accounts, timing, excuses, like they were dividing up stolen goods. I rolled away from the vent, my hands shaking, my stomach hollow. These were the same people who hugged me while I cried over Emily's coffin. Who told me they'd always be there. Turns out they were. Just not for me. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen smiling, coffee in hand, playing the part of the clueless son perfectly. And that's when the real plan started. I acted so normal that even I almost believed it. I strolled into the kitchen with a bakery box in my arms like I was some wholesome commercial dad, even though I was neither wholesome nor a dad. Brought croissants, I said, bright and casual. The fancy ones with the almond paste Mom likes. And those chocolate twists Brianna pretends she doesn't love. My mom's face lit up instantly. My sister's eyes did that quick skin thing, like she was inventorying value. My dad glanced up from his paper, doing the same fake calm thing he always did when he wanted to look like the family's steady pillar. He wasn't a pillar. He was a decorated cardboard tube. Sweet of you, Lucas, Mom said, pouring coffee into her delicate china like she was auditioning for Perfect Mother of the Year. Brianna leaned her elbows on the table. We were just talking about Christmas plans. Oh, were you? Just chatting about robbing me? Cute. I sat down and took a slow bite of croissant, forcing myself to chew like I wasn't choking on rage. What's the plan? Brianna launched into it immediately, like she'd rehearsed in the mirror. So, we're doing something elevated this year, she said. Not the usual cramped dining room chaos. We booked the ballroom at the Ridgeview Hotel. Candlelight. Live piano. A plated dinner. It'll be really special. My mom sighed dreamily. We deserve a nice Christmas after everything we've been through. I nearly laughed. Because what they'd been through? Watching me bury my wife? That must have been exhausting. Brianna tilted her head. It's expensive, but it's a family investment. And you've been doing really well, Lou. There it was. The casual hook. Dad folded his paper. We're not asking you to cover everything. Just help. Everyone pitches in. Brianna fluttered her lashes like she was negotiating a brand deal. Honestly, if you could contribute, Say $15,000? That would make it fair. 15. Not 60. Because in their minds this was the polite version. The number you ask for out loud. The other number was what you take. I nodded slowly, like I was considering it. That's not crazy, I said, and my mom's shoulders loosened in relief. Brianna smiled wider, too wide. She thought she'd won. So I gave them the perfect little story. Actually, I said, setting my coffee down carefully, I've been meaning to talk to you guys. 3 pairs of eyes snapped onto me so fast it was like a sitcom. I'm not going to be here for Christmas. The air changed. Like somebody opened the freezer door. Mom blinked. What? I got invited out of town, I said smoothly. A friend from grad school has a place in Colorado. Big group. Low pressure. I leave on the 23rd. Brianna's smile twitched. But Christmas is family. I know, I said, softening my voice, letting grief show up just enough to look real. It's just, the holidays have been rough since Emily. Sometimes being here makes it worse. That part wasn't even a lie. Being here did make it worse. Just not for the reason they assumed. Mom reached across the table like she was going to squeeze my hand. Oh, honey. Dad leaned back, frowning. Can't you go another time? Brianna recovered first. She always did. She was like a cockroach in heels, impossible to kill and somehow offended you tried. Well, she said, voice turning syrupy. If you're not here, then we really need the contribution. You know, because we already paid deposits. I lifted my eyebrows. Deposits? My mom nodded quickly. Just a small one. It's fine. We thought you'd want to be part of making it special. I smiled. Of course. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. That sentence, let me think, hit them like a tranquilizer dart. They relaxed? Because they heard what they wanted, yes. But in my head, I was already opening my laptop, already moving chess pieces. I left that afternoon with hugs and guilt-heavy eyes following me to the door. They started calling before I even hit the highway. I didn't answer a single one. Because I wasn't going to fight them at the kitchen table. I was going to let them build the trap they planned to spring on me. And then I was going to step out of it smiling. And the first thing I did when I got home was make one phone call that changed everything. That night I didn't sleep. Not because I was sad, but because I was clear. There's a moment when betrayal stops hurting and starts sharpening you. That's where I was, staring at my apartment ceiling at 2:17 a.m. replaying every word I'd heard through that vent like audio evidence in a trial. By sunrise, I wasn't grieving anymore. I was organizing. First call was to my financial advisor, Evan Brooks. We'd worked together since Emily died. Smart guy. Quiet. Never once asked me what I was planning to do with my money. I need to move assets, I said. Immediately. How much? He asked. Everything they even think they can touch. There was a pause. Not judgment. Just calculation. Give me 48 hours, he said. They won't even see shadows. Second call was to my attorney, Mark Feldman. I want a formal notice drafted, I told him. Any unauthorized attempt to access my accounts results in legal action. Mark exhaled slowly. Someone try something? Not yet, I said. But they're circling. Smart to move first, he replied. I'll send copies to every institution by end of day tomorrow. By the time my parents were finishing their morning coffee, my money was already becoming a locked room with my name on the door. But protection wasn't enough. I wanted contrast. I wanted clarity. And most of all, I wanted Christmas to hurt, not with cruelty, but with truth. So I made the third call. A friend from my consulting days, Maya, whose family managed luxury short-term estates, picked up on the second ring. Tell me you're calling to rent something absurd, she said. I need a villa, I replied. Private. Fully staffed. Christmas week. She laughed. What kind of absurd are we talking? The kind that makes people rethink their life choices. 2 hours later, she emailed photos. An ocean view estate in California wine country. Infinity pool. Stone fireplace the size of a small car. 12 bedrooms. Price tag just under $2. $4 million. Available because a tech CEO's divorce finalized early. I stared at the screen and felt something like peace. I'll take it, I said. Full service. Then I built the guest list. Not family. People. Friends who'd sat with me in silence after Emily died. Colleagues who covered my work when grief wrecked my focus. 2 young guys from a mentorship program I quietly funded, both aging out of foster care with more grit than safety nets. Every name felt earned. I sent physical invitations. Thick cardstock. Hand-delivered. Join me for Christmas. The card read. Formal. Transportation provided. Let's celebrate the family we choose. Every single person said yes. Meanwhile, my phone turned into a hostage negotiator. Mom called crying. Dad left firm voicemails. Brianna's text slid from friendly to panicked. On December 22nd, I sent one message to the family group chat. Hope you all have a wonderful Christmas at the hotel. Sorry I can't make it. Looking forward to hearing how it goes. Brianna called instantly. I didn't answer. Christmas morning arrived bright and cold. My guests arrived laughing. Champagne popped. Fire roared. Music played. And while we toasted in crystal glasses, my mother called 63 times before noon. By dinner, it was over 90. Because at that exact moment, my family was discovering something they hadn't budgeted for. The difference between assuming someone will pay and realizing they never agreed to. By 2:30 p.m., my phone was vibrating across the marble kitchen counter like it was trying to escape. I didn't touch it. I was too busy carving a roast that cost more per pound than my parents' hotel deposit. The villa was alive. Actual laughter. Not the forced, polite kind you hear at family dinners where everyone's keeping score. Real laughter. The kind that sneaks up on you and surprises you into smiling. Maya clinked her glass. I still don't understand how you pulled this off on a week's notice. I shrugged. Turns out saying yes is easier when you stop funding other people's fantasies. Everyone laughed. Nobody asked for clarification. That was the best part. I finally checked my phone during dessert. 97 missed calls. Most from Mom. Then Dad. Then Brianna. Then Mom again, like she thought rotation increased her odds. I opened the voicemails. The first few were confused. Lucas, call us. Something's wrong. Sweetheart, there's been a misunderstanding. Did you change banks? Then they escalated. Why aren't you answering? This isn't funny. You need to fix this now. Finally, the truth bled through. A text from Brianna came through, no emojis, no soft edges. We're sitting in the hotel parking lot. They won't seat us without full payment. Dad thought the deposit covered dinner. It doesn't. I pictured it instantly. My sister in a dress bought for photos. My mother crying because crying had always worked. My father furious because math finally caught up to him. Another message arrived. I saw your post. Are you seriously throwing a mansion party while we're humiliated on Christmas? I looked up from my phone. Around me, chosen family raised glasses. Someone turned up the music. A mentor from work hugged one of the foster kids like a proud uncle. I typed nothing. Instead, I posted another photo. A long table. Candles. Smiling faces. Caption. Grateful for people who show up without expectations. By 7 p.m., Mom had called 118 times. Her last voicemail was pure desperation. Lucas, please. We made a mistake. Your sister is falling apart. We don't even have dinner. You're our son. Doesn't that mean anything? I deleted it mid-sentence. Because here's the thing they didn't understand. Family isn't who calls you when their plan collapses. Family is who doesn't plan behind your back in the first place. That night we ate, drank, laughed, and stayed up past midnight telling stories that didn't involve guilt, debt, or obligation. When my last guest went to bed, I stood alone on the terrace, the ocean dark and endless beyond the lights. I felt lighter than I had in years. Not victorious. Just free. And the next morning, I finally answered a message. Because the aftermath is always worse than the explosion. I answered my phone on December 26th. Not because I felt guilty, but because silence had done its job. It was my dad. His voice sounded older than I remembered. Smaller. "We need to talk," he said. "I know," I replied. "I heard everything." Silence. Long and heavy. "You heard?" he finally asked. "Through the heating vent," I said. "Every word. The amounts. The plans. The part where Emily became a line item. That one landed." I could tell by the way his breath caught. Mom took the phone. Her voice was already cracked. "We weren't going to take anything. We were just talking. Making plans in case you offered." "You discussed access strategies," I said calmly. "That's not hypothetical. That's intent." "You're being dramatic," she said weakly. I laughed. Not loudly. Not cruelly. Just once. Dramatic is booking a ballroom you can't afford and assuming someone else will save you. Brianna grabbed the phone next. "You humiliated us," she snapped. "You did this on purpose." I protected myself. I corrected. "The party wasn't about you." "Then why post it?" "Because I'm allowed to live my life publicly without hiding to protect your expectations." She exhaled sharply. "Mom and Dad might lose the house." "Then they should have asked me." I said it out loud. "I would have helped with the mortgage. I would have contributed to a reasonable Christmas. I would have helped if you'd asked." Silence again. "But you didn't," I continued. "You planned to take. You decided I wouldn't notice. You decided my grief had an expiration date." Mom started crying. "You think money is all we see," she sobbed. "No," I said quietly. "I think it's what you see first." "What do you want from us?" Dad asked. That question told me everything. Not how do we fix this. Not how did we hurt you. Just, what will it take for you to pay? "I want boundaries," I said. "And honesty. And for my money to stop being treated like community property." "You're really going to let us struggle?" Mom whispered. "You're struggling because of choices you made," I replied. "I won't finance denial." We ended the call without yelling. That was new. January came fast. The house went on the market. Brianna posted about simplifying life. Dad emailed asking for a financial advisor referral. I sent 3 names. Covered the consultation fee. No drama. No lectures. Because helping isn't the same as enabling. But forgiveness? That's slower. February was quiet. Too quiet. No frantic calls. No emotional essays disguised as text messages. Just polite distance, like we'd all silently agreed this relationship now came with a glass wall. Then Brianna asked to meet. "Coffee," she texted. "Neutral place." That alone told me things had changed. Brianna never did neutral. She did center stage. We met at a small cafe halfway between our apartments. She was already there when I arrived, stirring the same cup of coffee over and over without drinking it. She looked different. Not dressed down, not dramatic, just tired in a way you can't fake. "Greg and I separated," she said before I even sat down. I paused. "I'm sorry." She nodded. "The money stuff was just the symptom. Turns out building a life on credit and expectations doesn't hold. I didn't say I warned you. Some truths don't need repetition." She looked up at me. "You seem fine." "I am," I said honestly. That seemed to unsettle her more than anger would have. You really didn't do it to hurt us? She asked. The villa. The posts. All of it? No, I replied. I did it to stop hurting myself. She sat back, absorbing that. I always thought you were strong because you didn't need anyone, she said quietly. But I think you were just used to not being protected. That landed harder than anything she'd said before. I needed you, I told her. After Emily. I needed a sister. Not a financial committee. She nodded slowly, eyes glossy but controlled. I know. And I'm sorry. Not in the please fix things way. In the real way. We didn't hug. We didn't make plans. But when we stood to leave, she said, You deserve better from us. It mattered. It didn't fix anything, but it mattered. Spring came. My parents downsized. Dad stopped asking questions that weren't his business. Mom sent a card. Polite. Distant. No apology. I didn't respond. And for the first time, I didn't feel cruel for that. I felt finished. The next Christmas came quietly. No vent. No eavesdropping. No anxiety curling in my chest the moment December showed up on the calendar. I rented a different place that year, smaller than the first villa, but still ridiculous by normal standards. Mountain views this time. Snow that actually stuck. 20 people instead of 12. Some familiar faces. Some new ones. A few people asked, carefully, if I'd be seeing my family. I told them the truth. I miss who I thought they were, I said. But that version never existed. Nobody pushed. That's what respect looks like. Brianna sent a card. Inside, she'd written, I hope your Christmas is full. You taught me that love without respect is just control with better branding. I kept it. My parents sent nothing. That was an answer too. That night, as we passed plates and poured wine, someone asked what had changed so much in me. I thought about the vent. The numbers. The assumption that I wouldn't notice. I stopped confusing obligation with love, I said. Later, alone on the balcony, watching snow collect on the railing, I thought about Emily. She would have liked this version of me. She'd always been better with boundaries. Better at spotting when someone's presence cost more than their absence. You deserve people who choose you, she once told me. Not people who budget you. My phone stayed silent all night. No missed calls. No guilt. No damage control. Just peace. And that's when I knew the story wasn't about revenge. It was about choosing who gets access to your life, your time, your heart. And finally, my money too. The second drive home felt nothing like the first. No tight grip on the steering wheel. No rehearsed arguments playing on loop. No ache in my chest that felt like unfinished business. Just road, quiet music, and the strange comfort of knowing I wasn't running from anything anymore. People like to ask if I ever regret it. If I miss them. The honest answer is complicated. I miss the idea of parents who would protect me before protecting their lifestyle. I miss the idea of a sister who would defend my grief instead of monetizing it. I miss a family that would ask instead of assume. But missing something imaginary isn't the same as losing something real. What I gained was clarity. That heating vent didn't just carry voices, it carried truth. The kind most people never hear from the people closest to them. I just happened to be lying in the right place at the wrong time. And I used it. I didn't destroy my family. I stopped funding a version of it that required my silence, my guilt, and my money to survive. Since then, life has been quieter. Better. My work is solid. My circle is small and real. The people around me ask how I'm doing without calculating what my answer might cost. And every Christmas now, when I raise a glass in a room full of people who choose to be there, I think about how close I came to spending another holiday proving my worth with a check. I don't do that anymore. Because family isn't who shares your last name. It's who doesn't reduce your life, your loss, or your love to a line item. And once you understand that, you never crawl through the vent again.